Hello everyone and welcome to another top 5 records video, and today I'm going to be talking about the 5 best albums from 1983. And now looking back on these videos and doing this list, the counting down the top 5s by year, for almost a year now. I started this over about a year ago. I really noticed how much beauty there can be found in every year. Of course, everyone has their own preference for year and styles and genres. They go and they come. Nevertheless, there is beauty in every year, and there's so much to be found. And I really like that because now we're almost getting towards the moment of 3 decades of music, of albums, and it just keeps on giving. And in this video, you will also see that new genres, new bands, new styles, and new energies are emerging constantly, at least in the early 80s. But when we get later in these videos, you will get more. Now, I'll start off this list on the number 5 spot. My favorite album of the Police, Synchronicity. Why is this my favorite Police album? There are a couple of reasons for that. The other albums are good as well. The Police is a very, very good band, but their other albums to me sound more like collections of singles. Now, this is an album with great songs, great singles. I mean, I really love Every Breath You Take, and the song Mother is on here, which is very, very good. But as a whole, as a unit, this one tells more of a story. It's much more of a complete collection of songs. Also, it's very powerful, beautiful, tight sounding bass. It's a band with a full, clear energy. It's, how would you describe it? Post punk, new wave. It's a new sound, a new style, and they are on the cutting edge of it. I really love Synchronicity. On the number 5 spot. On number 4, Power, Corruption, and Lies by New Order. And New Order had a tough time early 80s because basically they're Joy Division, but their singer Ian Curtis died at the beginning of the 80s. I believe it was 1980. So they had to reinvent themselves, and reinvent themselves they did, because this album shows a band that is completely ready for the 80s to make a new decade defining sound, and this album is one of their most beautiful results. I bought this about 3 years ago, just before the pandemic. I was in Budapest and I found this beautiful, I believe it's pressing by Rhino. And Rhino has some good pressings. Yeah, I believe this is the Rhino pressing. It sounds incredible, and the way they captured the sound of this band and the energy, what was going on there in Manchester. Yeah, I believe it's one of those factory pressings, Fact, yeah. Fact. It's so good, so good. Awesome band, awesome new sound. Now, we're getting into very personal territory for me. Number 3, Holy Diver by Ronnie James Dio. For me, this is one of the essential metal albums ever. When I was in my first rock band as a vocalist, the guitar player in our band said, "You gotta listen to Ronnie James Dio," and most of the songs he sent me, because it was in the days of MSN Messenger and digital files. Most of the songs he sent me were from Rainbow, Black Sabbath, and all of the songs which Ronnie James Dio did with his own band are from this beautiful, beautiful album, Holy Diver. And not so long ago, I found a near mint copy, this one, of this album, and I mean, I already love this album, but putting this on, it's a first Dutch pressing. I was totally blown away by it. There is so much melody going on, so much power. I mean, this record starts off with "Stand Up and Shout." Very good opener, very strong opener, nice, energetic. The drums sound incredible. Then you get "Holy Diver." You've been down too long with the Midnight Sea. And then side 1 ends off with "Don't Talk to Strangers," one of the best Dio ballads. And if you think you've had it all, that is front backed, no way, no way, because side 2 has "Rainbow in the Dark." so many great songs and an album which just keeps pushing it, keeps pushing it. This one, Dio Holy Diver, a masterpiece. And we're only at number 3. So what's at number 2? Let's Dance, David Bowie. Now, there is some argument amongst Bowie fans whether to include this in Bowie lists, because Bowie sometimes makes remarks that this might not be one of his favorite albums. I think it is. I think it's not in my top 5 David Bowie albums, but it is, if you want to define the 80s. This is a very good collection of songs. David Bowie collaborated with Nile Rodgers to search for a new sound. He was going to loads of jazz clubs and more soul and funk clubs in New York in those days. And he was seriously looking for what are the 80s gonna sound like, because Scary Monsters and Super Creeps, the album he made before this one, was kind of an explosion of sounds, and it was really awesome, really good. It had hit singles like Ashes to Ashes and slight hits like Fashion. But he did not define the sound of the 80s, and he knew that. He knew he was not defining an era anymore. And that's what he wanted to do. That is what he did. This is one of the ultimate dance albums from the 80s. And the songs are very strong. The production is incredible. If I'm gonna talk you through the songs, it's rather incredible. I mean, taking it out, this one opens with Modern Love. Modern Love. I mean, great album. So good. Modern Love is, it's more complex than you think, but it's so good. Such energetic, beautiful vocals and harmonies. Then, after Modern Love, you get China Girl, a song that he wrote and recorded together with Iggy Pop 6 years before. He made that to much more of a punk, perhaps new wave, now punk rock song. Very awesome song, also huge, humongous hit single. And then the song 3 is Let's Dance. Now, this is the Holy Trinity. How often do you come across a record which has 3, not just good or okay or great songs, but 3 brilliant hit singles after another? It's unique. It is unique. And after that, you have the song Without You, which is okay, but even for those 3 songs, it is record defining. After that, you got Ricochet, which is an interesting song. Criminal World is okay. Cat People is freaking awesome. Shake It, the last song, not so much. Now, why do I put it in here if there are about 2 or 3 songs which are okay or not so okay? It's the entirety of this album, the new sound and the quality of the songs which are good. This is a banger. I love it. It's an awesome album. On number 2 spot, David Bowie, Let's Dance. Number 1, somebody who reinvented himself. Tom Waits with Swordfish Trombones. What can I say? This album is completely Tom Waits. Completely. Yet, it is completely different from Tom Waits before this. His voice is still raspy and rough and very challenging. But he's not making late night jazz anymore, although the jazz elements are in there. It's complete avant-garde. It's completely crazy, and there's so much going on in here. And it's not. I really like it when avant-garde has melody and invites you to come listen. Avant-garde being different and progressive and trying to reshape music. I love it. But when they have great melodies, like this album, I go bonkers, and I go bonkers for this album. Number 1, Swordfish Trombone by Tom Waits. What do you think? Agree? Disagree? Leave a comment below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.